Hey Litty Gang, welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we'll be discussing a very highly requested topic, which is how to host. Okay, what year was this? 2016. Wow. So most of you guys know what I do, which is being a media correspondent. However, there's a large percentage of you guys who don't know what I do, and you guys just think that I'm just famous for no reason. Not even famous, you guys just think that I have a lot of followers for no reason. So basically, I'm a media correspondent, which means that I do interviews. Media correspondent is usually like a name they give for people or a person who does interviews. So I do interviews on the carpet, off the carpet.
What's up guys, it's me girl Daytime, your favorite Georgia Peach, and I'm so excited because today I'm hosting the Fresh Empire Style Stage for the 2019 BET Hip Hop Awards, and let's see who's the freshest of them all.
Into the media correspondent industry around the age of 9.5, maybe 10, and since then I've kind of just stuck to it. I'm 14 now. We're filming this in June of 2020, so I've been doing this for, it's gotta be like about 5 years, or almost 5 years, somewhere up in the 5-year mark. First thing that you guys asked me about my hosting thing was, how did I start? I've been ignoring those questions for a while now because I've wanted to make a full video like this. Again, a lot of you guys know that I used to be a performer. A lot of you don't, but now you know. I used to sing and dance.
I wear my purple toot-toot. On Wednesdays, I rock my blue toot-toot. My blue toot-toot. My blue toot-toot. On Mondays, I rock my pink toot-toot. And just like that, B-O-W-S. It's holiday time. I gotta get mine. Hair bow in my head, you know.
Yeah, I used to have 3 songs. So I used to just go and perform those at events. People would book me, and in the mix, when we decided to do interviews, my mom would kind of slide it in when they were trying to book me and be like, oh, she can do interviews too. Do you want her to do interview some of the people, stuff like that. So that's kind of where the first few smaller events, that's kind of where I got most of like my interview practice from. Not saying that they weren't worthy events, but that's kind of just where I got like most of my practice from, where I got the feel of interviewing from. It was just like maybe like 100 to 200 people at these events, and I would be like the only person, going around asking them questions. That's basically just how we started off the media correspondent journey, and from there we kind of just repeated the same steps until we got where we needed to. What made me want to host? I need to get some water. So personally, the idea of hosting was not mine. The idea of being a media correspondent was not mine. It was my mother's. And when she said media correspondent, I had no clue what she was talking about. Keeping in mind, I'm at 9.5, 10 maybe. I'm not knowing what she's talking about some media correspondent. Like, media correspondent. I thought the largest word in the dictionary was supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Not no media correspondent. So basically, as a child and to this day, I'm a very talkative person. I have 5 hours of footage right now talking in circles, but that's what we have YouTube for, to edit this crap out. I'm very talkative, pretty goofy. I have a great personality, and I'm very curious. Well, I was very curious all the time. I would always ask questions as a child. If my mother told me something, I would always ask why, or have another question leading to it. Not in any form of disrespect, but just because I was always extremely curious, and I was never afraid to, you know, dig into my curiosity. Or my mom and I sat down and was like, well, let's see if we can get you to do something like Oprah or like Ellen, and that's kind of where we got the idea of hosting from. What my first event was, like like I said, I'm 14. I started the media correspondent job around 9.5, maybe 10. My memory is good, but it's not that good. I can't really remember specifically the first event that I did, but I remember, I have it pulled up. One of the first few big events that I did was the Girlfriends in Champagne, put on by Vanessa Simmons, if I'm not mistaken. This was one of like the first really big events that I did. This was 2016.
Everybody, it's me, your girl Daytime, and I am live at the Girlfriends in Champagne event with Yay! Okay, so what brings you to this event?
Well, first of all, when you say girlfriends, it's like check. And I have my family here from Memphis, of course.
Years. But it was the first big event that I did as a child. So this was also where I kind of got like a real feel for, you know, the job and being on the spot. How to become a part of the media and how to get a spot on the carpet. So if you don't have any connections, if you can't Google any like events going on in your area or things of that sort, then I highly recommend that you get a PR. PR stands for public relations, and they are usually the ones that get talent at events. Once you get a PR, and you don't even have to, but this is if you can't take things into, like, when you can't figure it out on your own, if you can't research, if you can't use Instagram to find your way to events, then you go to the next best thing, which is the PR. Most PR are supposed to have connections with most people who put on events. I do remember when I was first getting started, there's only so much that you can do using, you know, your networking skills or using Instagram. So when I first started Instagram wasn't really a main way of connection yet. At the time of me, you know, coming up, it was Facebook. That was it. Everybody really just had Facebook. So when Facebook wasn't the answer for my mother, you would have to branch out to find a PR. Again, PRs you can find on Instagram, you can find on Facebook, you can find them on websites. If you Google PR, pretty sure some PR will pop up for you. If you say, hey, I'm an up-and-coming host or media correspondent, I would like to get some interviews in at some events, you can either give them a list or name a couple events, big events for a reference, and then they're supposed to do the work and get you the job. So most PR you have to pay for, 85% chance you have to pay for your PR. If you don't get a PR, you get a manager. So managers get you paying gigs, or supposed to. They're supposed to get you paying gigs, and you give them a small percentage of the gig if you get it. Okay, I just wanted to remind you guys that you do not have to do this if you want to get a job. I'm just including this just in case that you've worked all of your connections, you've done all the networking you can, you've done all the Instagram stalking that you can, and you cannot find any access to events. This is just a second option if your networking cannot get you to where you want to be. Okay, bye. Okay, last thing, be careful on who you give your money to, because most PRs and managers, they do their job, but usually some people don't. So just be careful and make sure that you're on the same page with your PR or your manager if you decide to get either one. So PRs or managers are really great for finding events if you can't find any on your own. Also, hosting. Okay, so hosting, you know how actors are signed to agencies? They have some agencies for hosting as well. Those are, I'm assuming that those are really good for hosts. They're supposed to have most of the, connects that you need to be a great host, like hosting classes, or people who can host really good and mentor you in a way. So hosting agencies, I'm assuming if there are any near you, then I assume that you give it a try, and I'm pretty sure you can find those by Googling as well. So this is something that I forgot to mention, but this especially goes out to those people who are new to the media industry. If you want to get any of the three people, whether it's a manager, a PR, or a hosting agency, make sure that you have a reel or you have your Instagram set up as a portfolio. By that I mean just clips of what you can do, clips of what you want to do, things like that, just so that people know what you're trying to accomplish. And that is something that is very important for people who are just starting out. Ways to earn a spot on the carpet. If you don't do any of those three, PR, manager, or agency, a hosting agency, you can always try to use Instagram. It just depends on how good your Instagram skills are. Like if your Instagram skills are bomb and you can find someone's page in less than an hour, then you would probably be able to use Instagram to figure out who accepts entries for carpets, if that makes sense. Okay, how would you start and keep the conversation going? And also, have you ever messed up while hosting? So, talking. I love to talk. And as you can see in this video, how many words have I started on? How many words have I forgot how to pronounce? How many words have I jabbled up? How many times have I talked too fast? How many times have I talked too slow? It's talking, it's your words. That also goes into key character of practicing. If you practice talking to the mirror, if you practice talking to the wall, your speech will be perfect. Perfecto. Perfect. The first question was, how do you start and keep going? If you mess up in the middle of an interview and say toe instead of shoe, you say, oh no, not toe, shoe, I'm sorry, and you continue with your question, or you let them answer. You have to find ways to improvise. Improvising is how you start and keep going. And also in the middle of interviews, you just act like it's a regular conversation, like you're sitting down on your couch talking to them. That's how I keep going through interviews, and that's also something that took me a while when first getting into the media correspondent job. When I first got in, it would just be like, ask your questions, next person. And I'm happy that I know how to not ask my questions and move on to the person. I know how to ask my questions in a conversation way. You're just talking to them. You're making new friends. You're at a party making new friends, and you just want to know specific stuff about them. So you just conversation your interview, and that's how you keep going. Was it easy when you started, and how long Did it take you to get used to it? So, like I said, being a media correspondent is not something that you can just dibble and dabble in. It's when you start in it, it's like it starts off extremely slow and you have to have a lot of patience for it. When you get on that carpet, you're ready to get some interviews in. You have two moods. Well, three. The first mood is, oh my God, this is taking so slow. When are the people gonna get here? When the people finally get here, it's like, oh my God, how many people left? And then the third emotion is, my feet hurt. So on the carpet, you don't sit down, you don't squat, you don't have benches. Oh, here, you want to do interviews? Sit down at this table. Let me interview you. No. No, sir, no, ma'am, no, brother, no, sister. No. When you're on that carpet, you stand. You bring two shoes, one shoe for the photo and the other shoe to stand in for the 5 hours that you will be standing up. Then, after you change shoes after your photo, you stand and wait on the carpet for people to arrive. And once people arrive, you can take your time with the first 5, maybe 10 interviews. But when rush hour happens, it's like rush hour. When rush hour happens, you get your questions in and out, because if not, then you'll miss the interview. Being talkative is great. It's extremely great. But if you're in the middle of an interview and you're talking a lot and you don't have time to interview the other people that you want to, and you only get 2 out of the 5 interviews that you want, then you have to put it on yourself to say, okay, so if I'm going to say this, then I can't say that. You have to, time management is something that's very important with the carpet, whether it's the time you spend practicing beforehand, whether it's the time you spend getting ready, whether it's the time that you spend talking to a person, whether it's the time that you spend setting up your camera. All of these factors matter on the carpet, and for me, getting used to rush hour and standing for long periods of time, it took a little bit of time. I wouldn't say it took me forever, but it took me a little bit of time to get used to standing up on carpets for hours waiting for people to go, or taking time in rush hour. So getting used to the carpet, sorry, I had to step in because I was just rambling. Like I said, I'm so talkative. Anyway, so like I said, on the carpet, it didn't take me forever. It didn't take me 3 years to get used to rush time, but it didn't take me 2 weeks either. I want to say maybe it took me about a month and a half. First of all, me getting used to my feet hurting, I'm still not used to that, but getting used to rush hour and timing my questions properly, that took me a little bit of time, because by the 3rd or 4th event that I had attended and rush hour had came, it was okay, I have no time to socialize, no time to be charismatic. It's ask your questions and get out the way. So it took me a little bit of time to be back comfortable having a conversation on the carpet, because I was just so scarred by the fact that I would miss interviews or not have enough time to ask everything that I wanted to. So it definitely takes a lot of trial and error to figure out how much time you have on the carpet with each person. And so I want to say maybe it took me about a month and a half to get my time together, and maybe about 2 months after that to go back to being charismatic on the carpet. What advice would you give to a beginner? So if you are, it doesn't really matter your age, because this advice goes worldwide. I would just say, let me go ahead and recite Players Cup. Use what you got to get what you want. Don't use your body. No, that was totally a joke. I'm talking about resources. Use any resources that you can to get where you need to be in the media correspondent hosting. Like I said, if you have a few dollars to spare, then I really suggest, getting a manager or a PR. And if you have any hosting agencies around you, then I highly suggest that you audition to get into the agency. Okay, I had to step in on the voiceover again because I was just rambling. Anyway, the last bit of advice that I have for you guys is to just use what you got to get what you want. By that I mean the internet. Back in the days, we did not have internet. You would have to go to the bookstore and read books to figure out what you can find out about somebody. But now we have Google, we have Instagram, we have Snapchat, we have TikTok, we have YouTube, we have all these different social media platforms, and we're giving you time to literally research anything that you want to. So if you know you have an interview coming up with this person in a week, you don't even have to use the full 7 days to figure out everything about them. Use 1 day, use an hour. It doesn't even matter. You can use you can use a minute to figure out what you need to. I'm just saying, if you want to do this job, you can research. You're researching now if you're watching this video. Like, technically you're researching. Anyway, my advice is just be able to research whenever you need to, because that's the most important part of the job. Like, our job is to know everything, so you just have to research to know everything. Yeah, okay, bye. Well, I've covered all of the questions not all of them, but there were a lot of the same questions. So I've covered about all of the questions that you guys asked. If you have any questions for me in the comments, then, well, if you have any additional questions, then you can ask them in the comments, and I will be sure to comment my answer back. I wish you all good luck. If you are interested in being a media correspondent, then go for it, sis or bro or mom or dad or cousin or aunt. Yeah, also one last thing. What was I gonna say? Oh, that's what it is. If you are extremely interested in being a media correspondent, finding somebody who looks like what you want to look like, or a role model of some sort for the type of media correspondent that you want to be, would be awesome. Just so you can see how they interview, how they talk. Not so you can duplicate it and do the same thing, but so you can get a feel of what you want to look like in the future, or now when you get it down packed. So finding a person, a role model that does what you want to do is great, because it helps you a lot. It lets you know what you do want to do, what you don't want to do, things like that. So again, thank you so much for watching my video. I love you so much. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And